Watch the sprightly puck right here, yo.
Hi everyone, I'm Nikki, this is Sanders, and you're watching the Sprightly Puck. So, in the last 2.5-ish weeks, we had 8 games and the All-Star break, featuring our very own Tyler Sagan.
Oh, I decided to feature a Sagan shirt from Bring Hockey Back this week, by the way.
We've lost half of them. And they were all, some of them were big deal games like the Colorado Avalanche game, which we did take into overtime and get a point. Mm-hmm. But we lost to Winnipeg at home. We lost to Boston at home. We lost to Montreal in Montreal, so that was alright.
Yeah.
I mean, it still stings, but at least it wasn't here.
You know, and they came back and still won their 2 road games. The Stars last season were like this as well, where they were a road team. They would have no problem winning on the road, and you have to think, like, they should know the ice in Dallas pretty well by now. So
except that the weather changes every 3 hours.
Well, that's true.
So it melts our ice like crazy.
You know, what's interesting is we do have those new boards that are really great and everything, but the other teams know how to use them now too, so.
Which kind of sucks, because it was kind of nice when we had that advantage. And I wasn't going to talk about Tyler Sagan. I want to talk about John Klingberg. Homeboy has been wrecking shop up, down, left, and right. Mm-hmm. He fights for the puck every chance he gets.
He was very close to having hat tricks on 2 separate occasions. And they put him back on the power play, and that has also improved our power play.
The big deal that we have now is Patrick Eaves is back.
Finally.
Thank you. Well, we have one of our Patrick back. I'd like the other Patrick back too, but we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there when we get there. He's working on it. The big deal that we have now is Patrick Eaves is back.
Finally.
Thank you. Well, we have one of our Patrick back. I'd like the other Patrick back too, but we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there when we get there. He's working on it. So Eaves worked his butt off to battle himself back up health-wise to get back on the ice, and he comes back and he wrecks shop.
Since he came back into the, to the Stars and everything on January 27th, he has racked up at least 1 point a game, and he's gotten a couple of power play goals as well. And he has just really lit up the power play, and we've had so much struggle with that, and it's so great to see that somebody is willing to put a puck in the net.
You know, speaking of the power play, putting Klingberg and Eaves in the power play seems to be doing wonders for our boys.
We had 4 power play goals in 1 game against the Jets.
And you know who was on the power play team?
Eaves and Klingberg.
Yeah.
Since he came back into the, to the Stars and everything on January 27th, he has racked up at least 1 point a game, and he's gotten a couple of power play goals as well. And he has just really lit up the power play, and we've had so much struggle with that, and it's so great to see that somebody is willing to put a puck in the net.
You know, speaking of the power play, putting Klingberg and Eaves in the power play seems to be doing wonders for our boys.
We had 4 power play goals in 1 game against the Jets.
And you know who was on the power play team?
Eaves and Klingberg.
Yeah. Ooh, Goose and Klingberg, while we're on the topic of Klingberg, are both +9 right now. So now we're going to talk the big names. Tyler, Jamie, Spezza. They all have racked up several points this season. Tyler's already to 56, I believe.
And he's not at the top of the league anymore, but he is at the top of the team.
Which is good.
And right next to him is Jamie.
Jamie's down by 10.
Jamie's down by 10, so Jamie has 46, and Spezza's coming in 3rd at 37.
That's why Tyler got picked for the All-Star team to represent our team.
Right.
He has 56 points in the league.
Right. I mean, he's doing really well.
All right. So, on non-ice related news for our boys, the Dallas Stars, Jordy Benn's beard is gone. Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you, Tyler Sagan, for making that bet with him and making that beard go away. Maybe Jordy will produce better now. Maybe he'll play better, produce more. I feel like the beard was bad luck. I feel like that's what his problem was.
That's because you're an athlete.
And what are athletes?
Superstitious.
Hey, but I still think the beard needed to go, and I've said that for a long time. Even NHL 15 thought that Jordy Benn's beard needed to go. He doesn't have one in the game. At least one good thing came from the Patriots winning. All-Star break, All-Star games. All-Star break, everybody got a break except for Tyler, which kind of made me question things a little, because I feel like the voting system was a little favorable towards the Blackhawks, because there was like 20 of them there.
A little favorable? I mean, and you have to.
Little.
I mean, the thing is that Chicago is like one of the biggest hockey markets in the league. It's, it is what it is, and they just got their fans to all vote and everything, and that team is still very young and all of that, and you have to consider who quite a few of the fans are, teenage girls and all of that. They're going to get everybody to vote. They got all these kids growing up watching the Blackhawks. I mean, of course, I'm disappointed that Jamie Benn didn't get to go.
I mean, as a captain, I feel like that's his place. Like, I feel like they should have taken Jamie and Tyler, because if those two had ended up on the same team, they would have just wrecked shop up there. Please tell me you guys saw the shootout when the St. Louis Blues goalie decided to selfie with his teammate who was shooting against him in the shootout challenge. Because that was hilarious. He's standing in the net, and he sees who it is, and he turns around and takes his cell phone out and does one of these, and you're just like, this is the shootout. Players grabbed little kids. One of the Columbus Blue Jackets coach's kids was picked up by one of the Columbus Blue Jackets players for a shootout goal, and he got to make a goal. And then one of the other players decided to make fun of it by using one of the rookies that was there. Other exciting, funny things that happened on the All-Star weekend. Tyler Seguin and Phil Kessel got traded for each other. First time in NHL All-Star Weekend history they used the one trade that they're allowed to have. Mm-hmm. And they traded Kessel for Seguin. Does this, just to be clear, especially to our Boston friends, does this sound familiar? Does it sound like when they traded Kessel to Toronto? What's up, Steve Dangle? So that they could have Toronto's spot in the draft, and then they picked up Tyler Seguin for him?
Yeah.
Very clever. Yeah. Very clever.
For those who don't go, they go on little vacations and stuff like that with their friends and family, and they get a little break. And I will say this: they did look tired, except for Roussel at practice, of course, because Roussel probably still went and strapped on a pair of skates during the break. Oh, and since I'm the kind of the fashionista one, don't lie. Somebody asked us what our opinion was about the All-Star uniforms.
I love them. So, backtracking to the other Patrick, Nikki has a lovely update for you.
Okay, so I gotta say that this is really just a little comical to me, because on Monday at practice, I told one of my friends that was there, I said, I am really excited for when Patrick Nemeth gets to skate with the team in a no-contact jersey. We know he's been skating before practice and after practice, things like that. He's traveling with the team some as well. But the next day, during morning skate, he was seen wearing a red no-contact jersey. And now the front office has said that they're not going to push him. They don't want him to come back too quickly. He's eager to get back on the team, and play on the ice and get into some more games. But they don't want to push it. They want to be sure that he's fully recovered and ready to play in the game. And just knowing that the next day he was skating with the team just made me really excited. So that's great. Hopefully he'll be back in a few weeks. I know he was aiming to come back before the end of the season. He wanted to come back by March, for sure by April. So we might get to see a little bit of Nemeth play
before playoffs.
Right. Just want to hit on this just because I follow Steve Dangle.
We love you, Steve.
The Leafs.
What happened?
Well, okay, so they got rid of their head coach Carlisle, which they should have done over the summer, and they've lost 8 or 9 games in a row now. And it's really sad and depressing to look at Steve Dangle's YouTube channel
and Twitter feed.
So there's been talk the last few days, the last week or so, about our goalie situation, and there had been some prior. But now people are really losing their confidence in Kari Lettinen. And the fact is, he has 4 years left on his contract. 4 years. And I will give everybody this. He's not where he was last year. And we can blame that on concussions or whatever.
Lack of rest.
Yeah. Because I still think that we should have put Lynn back in more frequently back in the fall and given him a lot more practice.
When the games didn't matter.
Well, they matter, but
not as much. Let me just reach out to Spritely Puck fans who are not athletes, who do not understand this mentality that players go through. Being sat out for your team, being stuck on the bench for your team is A, miserable, B, frustrating, because if you feel like you could have done something to help your team win a game that they lost, it can beat you down hard. And so then when they finally do throw Anders in, he's got all this weight bearing down on him, like, if I choke, they're going to bench me again. If I don't choke, are they going to bench Kari for a whole lot longer than they should? Like, what's going to happen? You know, and I feel bad for Anders because he never gets the opportunities he deserves. But also, you have to be aware that, like, being ready to just, like, throw your goalie out a window because he lets one through the 5-hole, it's not a reason to trade a goalie. I'm sorry, it's not. For starters, as a goalie playing soccer, I had 10 other people in front of me that they had to get the ball past first. Kari has 5 other people, sometimes 4 other people on the ice that they have to get that puck past first before they get it past him. So if you want to run around blaming anybody for this, you have to blame the Dallas Stars. You got to throw a goalie under the bus, watch the highlights about 100 times, and realize how hard of a job they have because they're the only players who don't get line changes. They're the only players who, when they do get a line change, is like the most heartbreaking moment in the world for them. Like, these people have to play 60 minutes of hockey. Goalies have to play 60 minutes of hockey. Now, you're a fan. It's your job to support your team, not judge your team about every little thing that they do wrong. And I have done that. And I have thrown Jordy under the bus once or twice. Because I felt like it was entirely Jordy's fault. But you have to realize that you have to support your team no matter what. And you can ask Nikki, you can ask my friends that go to hockey games with me. When Jordy does something good, I'm like, hey, Jordy, great job. I'm not sitting here like, why is Jordy still on the ice?
Kari has a no-trade clause in his 4-year contract.
Which means they'd have to buy him out to send him somewhere.
Probably. He'd have to specifically agree to it.
Yep. To shout out to K-Knots for playing forward the other night for Columbus.
Yeah. Oh, Kevin. Wait.
What?
Little plug here.
Yeah.
Sanders has a hockey game coming up on the 20th at the Frisco Dr. Pepper Arena.
Yep, 10:15.
At night. But it's a lot of fun. Her team is called the Ducks, so we actually...
Unfortunately.
And we do a thing, you know, if you ever see us tweeting, we do hashtag quack, quack, quack. That's what that's about. Sanders plays left wing, so she channels...
sounds familiar, like...
She channels her inner Jamie Benn.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
You know what? You do kind of skate, you know, you do look like him when you're out there, the way that you left wing.
I skate like Jamie, too.
I noticed.
I watched Jamie's highlights. Mm-hmm. Before I started my season, I watched a lot of Jamie Benn highlights to know how to properly play left wing.
Anyway, just want to give a little shout out to the Dallas Stars Ice Girls for doing such a good job with their new formation, even though the players kept getting in the way and looked really confused as to why the girls were all skating in this little figure-8 formation thing.
Game the other night.
I told Cassie, captain, Ashley should come out there with a bullhorn and start yelling at people to move. I also offered that me and Sanders could come out there and do it. Since you're the one of us who actually knows how to skate, I'll just hold on and like